A new tape has been released by the Islamic militant group Boko Haram, showing for the first time some of the actual Nigerian schoolgirls that they abducted just about a week ago. And we're finding out not just that they're still there, but also what has happened to them and what might happen in terms of them and the government negotiating. Let's watch.
اليوم 4 سنين أو 5 أخذتم إخواننا وهم الآن في سجنكم تفعلون أشياء كثيرة ثم تأتون تتكلمون حول هؤلاء البنات لا نتركهن إلا بعد ما تركتم إخواننا لا نتركهن.
So obviously that must be a great consolation to the parents to see that they are still there. They haven't all been separated and given off to different fighters and things like that. Unfortunately, they have been forcibly converted from Christianity in many cases to Islam. That's bad news. What do you think about this proposed deal that they've been talking about?
So it's a really tough question because everybody wants those girls back, right? And so he's saying, look, let's do a deal. You give me my fighters back, I'll give you the girls back. You don't negotiate with terrorists. That's the theory. In reality, actually, we've done that many, many times. Yes. In this case, of course, not our decision. It's the Nigerian government's decision. They don't seem so inclined. But in reality, it happens with many different governments. I'm so split on this because I really, really don't want to deal with those guys in any way, shape, or form, let alone release more of their fighters, right? On the other hand, I want those girls back so bad that probably what we'll wind up doing, or what Nigeria will wind up doing, is, I'm guessing here, obviously. When I say probably, that's too strong a language. That they'll do the deal and then they'll screw them over on the deal, right? Yeah. And that they'll somehow track the guys that they released, and then all of a sudden, hey, U.S., could you help us with one quick drone strike?
Yes.
Right.
Yeah, I think that the U.S. should provide, if not drones for actual striking the militants, at the very least surveillance drones that can track, the movements of the released fighters. And that would be, at the very least, and could actually be a nice silver lining to this entire horrible situation.
Let's say we can't do the drone strikes. Would you do the deal?
Probably, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And here's the thing, too. So obviously our stance, United States, is generally we at the very least say we don't negotiate with terrorists. But we're coming from the point of view of having by far the single most powerful military in the world. It's very easy for us to say that because generally we don't have to negotiate, although we do at times, because we can strike pretty much anywhere in the world now. The Nigerian military, the Nigerian government, is in pretty dire straits to begin with. Boko Haram did not just come about 2 weeks ago. They've been wreaking havoc in that country for some time. And so it's going to be a lot more appealing for them to negotiate. It's obviously a rough situation. And it's not entirely clear if all of the girls would be released and how many fighters would have to be swapped in that trade. It's difficult all around.
Yeah, you know what? I'd live to fight another day. I'd do the trade. I know you're not supposed to, but I think in this case I would do it. Get those girls to safety, and then we'll deal with those guys. I mean, whether you do it fairly, unfairly, whether it's with a drone strike or it's the Nigerian government itself tracking them down, we'll track them down. But let's get those girls to safety. And if you think that's unacceptable, especially if you're a Republican, remember your God, Ronald Reagan, did the same exact deal. Yeah. He negotiated to get hostages out and sold weapons to Iran to make that deal happen. So it's not like it's without precedent. It's with significant precedent.
Yeah, and by the way, one of the reasons we generally try not to negotiate with terrorists is because we don't want to inspire them to commit further acts of violence in the future. But Boko Haram has shown over at least the past year, that there's no line they won't cross.
They have no limit anyway.
Exactly.
Right.
The kidnapping is relatively new, at least on this scale, but there have been multiple times where they've gone in, burned schools, butchered dozens of schoolgirls. There are already no limits, and so it seems like there's almost no cost to inspiring them through negotiation now.
Yeah. And especially if, like you set a bad precedent that month, and 3 months later they're all dead in the woods. Yeah, people think, maybe the kidnapping thing wasn't that good an idea. They got a couple of fighters back for about a couple of months, and then they all died somewhere.
Yeah.
So.